This is Cards. Two away. 1, 2, 3, get. You is a lie. You is not good for me.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Lace 'Em Up Show. I'm your host, as always, Armand Javed, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing something different. I created my own power rankings list, and I'll probably continue it throughout the rest of the season. So we're going to get right into it, starting at number 32. It's not going to be surprising. We have the 0-7 Detroit Lions, who just cannot seem to catch any type of breaks. All their games have been pretty close. They haven't really gotten blown out. I kind of feel bad for Lions fans, but I feel like they're probably already used to it by now. So Lions at 32. At 31, we have the New York Jets, who got absolutely smacked by the New England Patriots. The Jets lost their rookie quarterback, Zach Wilson. He might be out for another 2 to 4 weeks now. So this is not looking pretty for the new head coach, Robert Saleh in New York. Hopefully they can get it together, but man, it did not look pretty at all on Sunday. At number 30, we have the Houston Texans, who now we're hearing a lot of talks about them potentially trading Deshaun Watson before that November 2nd trade deadline. If they do it, will Deshaun even get to play? We don't know. But the Texans have been struggling without him nonetheless, so they're going to come here at number 30. At number 29, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are coming off their first win. This week they were actually on a bye, but before that they had their first win out in London. The Jags are pretty bad because that was their first win in like the last 20 games. So, Jacksonville is a bottom 5 team. We already know that. The next team coming in at number 28, I'm actually surprised they're doing this bad. The Miami Dolphins, they're right now sitting at 1-6, and that is not what they had hoped going into this season. This was supposed to be the year that it all comes together and they make a run for the playoffs, and it has not looked that good at all. There's questions about Tua being the franchise quarterback, and they traded away their first round pick to the Eagles for Jalen Waddle in last year's draft, so they're in a really bad spot, the Dolphins are. The team coming at 27th, is the New York Giants. Yeah, they're pretty bad. From 25, 26, 27, I have pretty much the entire NFC East except for the Cowboys. That whole division we already know it's pretty bad. All those teams are sitting at 2-5. They all have their own individual problems. None of those teams are going anywhere at all. Number 24, the Carolina Panthers have been going on a downward spiral ever since they started out 3-0. Sam Darnold has been looking like the same old Sam Darnold that we saw in New York. I have no clue what just happened to this Panthers team. They're going to need C-Mac to come back and be a difference maker, and they should be getting help on defense with Stephon Gilmore soon, so that should help as well. Coming in at number 22 and 23, we have two teams from the NFC West that I didn't think that, they'd be struggling at this point in the year. The Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. For the Seahawks, we know they lost their quarterback, so it's looking pretty grim for them moving forward. Russ is going to be out for like 8 weeks, so honestly, they just have to be at a point where they're still in the hunt by the time Russ comes back. But the Seahawks have a really tough stretch. I shouldn't say time. They have a pretty tough stretch while Russ is gone, so honestly, it's not looking pretty at all. With the San Francisco 49ers, I have no clue. This team's just been really disappointing. Jimmy Garoppolo has not looked impressive at all, and then Trey Lance, when you throw him in there, he's a rookie. You can't really expect much. So the Niners, they're sitting at 2-4 right now, and honestly did not think they'd be this bad. Coming in at number 21, the Chicago Bears. That was pretty hard to see Justin Fields just have an abysmal game. Absolutely just struggled, and I just couldn't help but feel bad because he's not getting the help that he deserves from his coaching staff, from the management, everything. It's a mess in Chicago, and they need a clean house after this season's over with. Coming in at number 20, the Denver Broncos. They were able to keep it close against Cleveland, but honestly, you just would have hoped that they would have won. With Cleveland missing all their guys, it's pretty disappointing for Denver that started out 3-0, just like the Carolina Panthers, and they've been on a downward spiral since as well. Coming in at number 19, we have the Atlanta Falcons, who, I don't know, bro, all of a sudden they want to start winning games. This team looked really bad earlier in the year when they started off 0-2. They kind of got it together, but they have beaten some pretty bad teams. So, I'm not expecting anything out of the Falcons at all. Coming in at number 18, the New England Patriots. Yeah, this has definitely not been the norm for them the past couple years, being in this spot in the power rankings. They're usually around top 3, top 5-ish, but with a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones and kind of regressing offense, you could say, under Bill Belichick, it's just really hard to expect much out of this team. Really, they don't have that much skill position threats really at receiver or even running back. You know what you're getting out of the New England Patriots. They do keep the game close. I'll give Bill Belichick credit. Against good teams, they keep it close. They beat teams like the Jets. They just swept them, and that's actually the only wins they have on the year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. They beat Houston as well. But yeah, they beat some bad teams, so it is what it is. Coming in at number 17, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were 1-3, if I believe so. Yeah, and they beat the Seahawks in Denver back-to-back weeks. Seahawks without Russ, so call it what you want. The Steelers are sitting at 3-3 right now, but I'm honestly not expecting them to even come top 2 in the division. Just the way the AFC North is, it's just too tight this year. And coming in at number 16, let me start with the Saints first. I'm sorry. The Saints have a game against the Seahawks. I'm recording this before, but I expect them to win. They should be 4-2. But if they lose that game, honestly, that'd be pretty disappointing for the Saints to lose to a Seattle team without Russ. But they're kind of in a hard spot too without Drew Brees this year. They didn't really do that much with him in the postseason the last few years when they had him too, but honestly, it's the Alvin Kamara show in New Orleans, and that's what it's going to be for the whole year pretty much. Coming in at number 15, the Kansas City Chiefs have really, really struggled this year, and they're sitting at 3-4, 3rd or 4th in the division, tied for last with Denver. Honestly, I am not going to be shocked at all if this team starts off like 3-5 and then ends the year on an 8-9 game winning streak, comes into the playoffs at like 12-5, 11-6, something like that. And that's going to be a team you don't want to see in the playoffs. Everybody knows that this Chiefs team can overcome adversity. They do it like almost every year in the playoffs. They always find themselves in positions where they're down and they come back. So I'm not going to push the panic button at all on the Chiefs right now. I think maybe they'll lose one more game and people are going to be like, oh my God, the Chiefs, this and that. But we'll see. By the end of the year, they're going to go on a run and they'll be right up there at the top of the AFC. Now, looking at the next team at number 14, the Indianapolis Colts have been quietly creeping back up in the standings of their division. They've been able to beat some teams the last couple weeks in Houston and San Fran. Carson Wentz has not looked that bad at all. If they would have been able to win some of those closer games in the beginning of the year, this could have been potentially right. They still have time. They could catch a wild card spot, but they could be running for the division, honestly, if it wasn't for that. But they have a game against the Titans coming up this week, so that will determine a lot moving forward. Coming in at number 13, we have the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings, I'm not going to lie, like offensively, they're not bad at all. Kirk Cousins, he's been proving me wrong because honestly, I called him about middle of the pack average, but I'll say he's slightly above average, okay? Like, he gets the ball to guys like Justin Jefferson and Thielen, and they have a beast and a running back in Dalvin Cook. So that offense, it's underrated. We could call it underrated, but their defense is not all that at all, to be honest. Moving on to the next level of teams right here at the top 12. We're going to start with the Las Vegas Raiders, who I did not expect them to be sitting at 5-2, 7 games into the season. Honestly, got to give them credit, especially after all that John Gruden drama and all that, whatever nonsense. They were able to get a win this week and, blocked out all the noise of all the other distractions that were going on outside of the football operations. So, respect to the Raiders for that. Now, looking at the Cleveland Browns, this has been a season full of injuries, and so far, I'm pretty disappointed because I thought they'd be a top 3 seed in the AFC at this point. Maybe they'll get it together once they get more of their guys back healthy, but right now it's not looking too good in terms of them being a top-tier playoff team. And we went from talking about them as Super Bowl contenders to now it's like they're going to have to make the playoffs and solidify themselves as a playoff team, that is. Next, looking at the Baltimore Ravens, I did not expect them to lose to the Bengals, and I'm starting to believe more and more in the Bengals squad. I don't know, honestly, like this Ravens team, it's all going to solely depend on Lamar, how far they go. And I'm impressed with the way the Bengals were able to play defensively, because I would have thought that's their weakness, and Lamar owns the Bengals, but it wasn't like that on Sunday. So I had the Bengals over the Ravens. Right now, like I was saying, the Bengals have been really impressive so far. Who would have thought them, of all teams, sitting at 5-2? The next team we have at number 8 is the Los Angeles Chargers. They're sitting at 4-2, coming off of their bye. They've been looking pretty impressive, except for their last game that they got punished by the Baltimore Ravens defense. But I think the Chargers will get it together, and I expect this team to be a solid playoff team down the stretch for sure. The next team we're going to look at is the Green Bay Packers, who have not lost at all since they got whooped by the Saints week 1. They've been on an absolute tear. I mean, you could say they played some pretty bad teams, but they did beat the Steelers and the Niners, so I'll give them credit on that. The next team we're going to look at is my Dallas Cowboys. I didn't honestly think they'd be sitting at 5-1. I had them going 10-7, but I'm pleasantly surprised with the way my defense has been playing. Honestly, this team could go 13-4, but my expectations are just to make the playoffs at this point. So let's see as the season progresses how far they'll go. The next team entering the top 5 now, the Buffalo Bills. They lost to a Titans team after they beat the Chiefs. So this really, like, the whole AFC is really up and down, because you have the Titans losing to the Jets. At the same time, the Titans beat the Chiefs and the Bills. It's just the AFC is a toss-up at this point, and that's pretty much why I have all the top 3 teams, NFC teams. Number 4 is the Titans. Like I said, they've beaten some pretty good teams, so I'll give them some respect, top 4. Number 3, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady's looking unstoppable. Mans is like 55, needs to retire, he doesn't care. Number 2, we have the Rams, and they've been looking pretty solid too offensively. Honestly, the Rams and Cardinals have both looked super scary, and the reason the Cardinals are up at number 1 obviously is because they're still undefeated and they have beaten the Rams. So let's see how the list changes down the stretch of the year. Hopefully you see them boys creep up a little bit more, but that's going to do it for the power rankings this week. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment down below if you think a team should be higher or lower. But until then, that's Manny signing out. We'll see you next time.